Dude, I'm so excited. This is
do
gonna
it.
be awesome. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Invest with Darius and Jacob.
Let's go.
This has been a long time coming. Jacob and I met literally almost 4 years ago, right before COVID.
Yeah.
We actually met at the Altman bootcamp, which was run by the Josh Altman of $1 Million Listing Los Angeles. And it was super fun because, I mean, you and I, we got to tour 40, 50, $60 million homes. I was just getting into real estate. I just got my license a couple months before that. You had been in real estate for how long before that?
At the time, I think it was 3 years.
So I just started, you were what, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Or in the business for 3 years. And then, I mean, it was so cool. That was probably for me, super motivating. I just got my license and I'm like, wow. So I get to hang out with developers that are building these multi-million dollar homes. I think we saw $1 billion worth of real estate in those 2 days.
Honestly.
In a span of less than 10 homes.
It was crazy. Honestly, $40-50 million real estate, when you're watching that stuff, you're like, when you're looking at that stuff in person, it's so motivating and inspiring.
It was super cool because I watched the show, $1 Million Listing, and then it was it's kind of cool. I mean, not every realtor's life is selling $50 million homes, driving Bentleys, eating at Catch and Mastro's every night and Nobu, but it was still a super cool experience just to be able to be around those people and see how they got to where they were.
100%.
And I don't know about you, but for me, I implemented some of those things that we learned from all the people we met, and just their mindset of seeing how different they were from, they're normal people, but their mindset were so much different than your average person, let's be honest.
100%. I also think the first thing that comes in my head when I see these ultra luxury properties is somebody's gonna live in that house.
I know.
But it's a mindset shift, right? Because you see this house, $40-50 million, knowing that house will not sit empty.
Yeah.
Right? That house will not sit empty. There's going to be a person that's able to afford the $50 million piece of real estate.
I know. It's like when they said there's a need for real estate, that everyone needs a place to live, including the $50 to $100 million homes that people will go in there and buy those. And it's crazy to see some of those homes, I was following them, they'd go off the market in 30 days. Mm-hmm. And you're so someone just comes in and goes hey, $30 million home, done. Yep. So, but let's jumping into it. So I want to ask you how'd you first start getting real estate? You're a realtor out in the Modesto area.
Yep.
And how'd you get into it? And let's hear about this story.
It's funny. Everyone has that moment where they kind of get inspired, right?
Yeah.
That pushes them off the ledge. Once they see this one thing, it usually pushes them off the ledge. For me, I was watching not only my dad sell real estate, because my dad, he actually owns a brokerage right now that has 60 agents in the Central Valley.
Oh, wow.
So big company. It's big now. When it started, it was 13 years ago. So almost 14 years ago. So watching my dad jump from IT to then going into selling real estate is where I actually got my start. Is because I'd watch my dad. He was pursuing his passion, right? He was making 180 grand in 2009, right? At this IT place in Livermore. So he was driving from Modesto to Livermore every day, back and forth. You know what I mean? And he was making a good amount of money back in 2009, right? But he hated what he did. He hated every part of his job. He hated going into that damn office every day, punching in. And he goes to my mom and he's like, Natalia, I think I want to get started in real estate. And she's like, are you fucking crazy? The market just crashed, bro. It's at the bottom. It just bottomed out. What are you doing? And I remember when my dad he quit, and most people thought he got fired because they thought he was crazy for leaving that such secure job.
Yeah.
So anyway, watching my dad go through all this process of opening his company, start getting his start, that's what pushed me to start selling real estate. So,
jeez. And you've been successful at it.
You know what? It got me started to now where I want to be, which is flipping houses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's what I actually like to do. The real estate, selling houses just pays the bills. You know what I mean? So that's how I got my start. But how'd you get your start, Darius?
I mean, my family was in real estate. My grandparents on my mom's side owned a bunch of real estate. At one point, they bought, I think it was 10 homes in Tahoe, and then ended up selling them all. They bought the land, built the homes, and then sold them all. And having no idea what they were really doing, they just kind of said they were from Louisiana. Their house was way down the road was torn down by Hurricane Katrina and New Orleans and all that stuff. But like they were like, they live in Palo Alto, and they were like, hey, people need a place to live. This should probably be something. And so they did that, and kind of caught the bug. I actually run a baseball training organization called CCB Youth Division, and I had a lot of families in that, a lot of parents in my baseball organization where they're like, hey, you should get into real estate. Like, you're dealing with people and their kids. Like, if they trust you with their kids and teaching them baseball, they're going to trust you with buying and selling homes.
Sure.
And I was like, and I already like real estate. I would tell my mom, like, let's go to open houses. Dad, let's go to open houses. And so then I finally pulled the trigger, got a license. I work with the brokerage in Tarot.
Yep.
And I got a really good mentor who's also a baseball guy, Eric Fisher-Colby, freaking amazing. Love you, Eric. And I was like, you know what? Let's do this. Let's see what happens. And then, and I'll be honest, it's been so fun. And like you said, like, investing and selling homes, completely different. But it just got to the point where I was like, I could do this. Like, I got my first deal shortly after I got my license, thanks to my baseball business and having that network of hundreds of people. And it was fun. And it was like, but that first deal, we could talk about it later, was I talk about like jumping in to the deep end.
Let's talk about the first deal. Please, Darius, please. I want to hear about this deal because you left me on a cliffhanger yesterday when we were on the phone. You're like, I'll tell you about it on the podcast. I want to hear about this deal.
This first
what
deal,
struggles did you have on this deal?
It wasn't a struggle. It was, I sent out an email to my entire baseball organization saying like, hey, I got my real estate license. You know, if any of you are interested in buying and selling a home, I'm your guy. Like, literally 24 hours later, a family reached out and they were like, hey, we're looking to move into a home and this and that. And I'm like, great. This home was not cheap. So it's in Los Altos Hills, over a $3 million home.
Oh, okay.
So
$3 million?
So $3 million. So it was like, all right. I was like, okay. I think, okay, great. My mentor's going to walk me through this and everything. So the home's on the market. They tell me they like this home. Like, let's go see it. I'm like, this home's great. I know the area. I grew up here. Let's go after it. And I'm like, let's be aggressive and offer first and offer lower and let's see what happens.
Sure.
Then we get our offer accepted. I'm like, great. Awesome. So then I go to my mentor being like, hey, can you check all this to make sure I did this right? And he goes, I can't help you. I'm like, wwhy? He goes, because my other buyer was a competing offer. So now I have no mentor. I have this 16-page purchase agreement document. It looks like gibberish to me. I'm like looking at it, I'm like, oh my God. So, and then this is how newbie I was. Everything can be done through a DocuSign.
100%.
I printed out the pages blank, drove them over to the people's house and was like, we're gonna fill this out by hand.
Hey, wait, they asked you questions? You're like, oh, that's a disclosure. That's standard disclosure.
They're like, oh, this lead paint, the lead-based paint disclosure? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And it got to the point I was so stressed, I'd leave their house to make a phone call to ask our office manager, like, hey, like, what's going on here? Yep. And then the listing agent was a very experienced agent, like big time agent in Los Altos Hills. And she was just, she could tell I was new. She was bullying me around. Like we had appraisal contingency on there. So when that deadline was coming, she was like, where's the contingency removal? Where's
this?
And I'm like, yeah. And then she sent the notice to perform. I was like, what is a notice to perform? Like, I don't know how to perform. Like, what is this? And then I had the buyers who were like, they were high quality buyers and they're like, hey, Darius, we need to do this, we need to do that. And I'm like, oh my God, like, what do I do? So I finally got through it after bumps and bruises. We finally got through it. We got the home $200,000 under ask on a home that was listed on the market in a week. Just because we acted first. Right. And so it all worked out great. No one got sued, nothing bad happened. And they still live in the home. It's a beautiful home. They actually just added to it. It's probably worth $6-7 million now.
Did they know it was your first sale?
Yeah, and the greatest thing was that I told them, like, look, I just got in, I'm learning, and they were really patient. But you could tell, like, they were like, all right, like, let's go.
That's freaking hilarious.
So yeah, so it ended up working, but I could say I sweat through that entire thing. My wife was just like, oh my gosh.
So that was a $3 million deal for your first deal?
3.1, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Is that your biggest deal?
No, that's not my biggest deal, no. My biggest deal was it ended up being an $8 million deal in Los Altos Hills in 2022. It was a home that hadn't been lived in. The sellers wanted to sell it. It's Los Altos Hills, amazing view.
How'd you find the client for that?
Attorneys.
Attorneys?
Yes. And so I learned that, trust attorneys and people need to sell their homes. Like people, and especially with, what was it, Prop 19 hit, people inherit their homes, inherit these homes, but they can't afford it with property tax getting reassessed.
Right.
I mean, could you imagine inheriting an $8 million home and then all of a sudden when your family bought it for like $1 million years ago and then being hit with property tax on $8 million and you just have your normal average job?
Yep.
So then a lot of people, I started selling a lot of those homes, and so that one was sent to me by an attorney, and I've sold a lot of homes for them. And that one I sold that one in 5 or 6 days, and it was $400,000 over ask.
Oh my gosh, $400,000
Over ask? Yes.
You were repping the buyer.
Seller.
You were repping the seller.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So how many offers did you guys get?
We had 4.
Dang.
And the craziest thing, it was off market.
Shut up. Did you represent the buyer too?
So no, it was just seller.
Oh man, I was gonna be like,
if I would have represented the buyer and seller, I was like, you wouldn't find me. I'd be in Fiji. I'd still be there.
That'd be like a $16 million times 2.5%.
I would have contacted the freaking $1 million listing and been like, I'm your guy.
Yo, go check me out.
So that was in my best year of real estate, was that year.
2022?
2022, yeah.
Yep.
It was a good year.
Man, what kind of attorney did you get this lead from?
Baseball business. Their son played in my baseball. I have a bunch of attorneys that play in our baseball business, and I just kind of get to know them, and I just tell them, hey, look, I'm a realtor. I know you have other realtors you work with, but if you give me a shot, like I know I can do the job.
Yeah.
And he threw me a bone, gave me a shot. It was a big bone.
Yeah.
And got the job done. For you got into flipping.
Yeah.
What made you want to flip, and what advantages do you think that you have as being a realtor and also being able to flip homes?
100%, dude. Well, I'm going to give you like a little bit of a full circle moment here. I was in the Starbucks drive-thru, I still remember this, and I was with my wife, and I remember telling her, babe, I don't know what's taking me to LA. This is right when I was actually about to move to LA. And I don't know what's taking me to LA, but if anything fails, we're going to come back and I'm going to start flipping houses here. If I really care about making money, I'm going to come back and I'm going to start flipping houses. So I go to LA, eat shit in 4 months, right? Like I hate LA.
You live and you learn.
I don't want to live in LA. It's too congested, the traffic. Oh my gosh, during COVID, I couldn't even live my life. It was terrible. I'm like, get me the hell out of here. I wrote a check to my leasing agency for $7,000 to get me out.
Oh, wow.
I cut my lease short. Long story short, I get back and I hit the ground running on finding a flip property. And I ended up getting that first check, which was $44,000 in profit off my first flip.
That'll get you hooked.
And that got me hooked. That's how I got my start in flipping. And the funny thing is, I didn't use my real estate license on this one.
Really?
Yeah, this is going to shock you, but I let the listing agent represent me on the purchase, okay, so I could get the deal.
Yep.
At a discount to where it's worth me flipping. And then I'm like, hey, you get me this deal at this price, guess what?
I'll let you sell it.
I'll let you sell it when I'm done.
Relationships, baby, right there.
And he was hooked, too. He was an agent in my office. And he was hooked on finding me more deals.
Really?
So I invested in the guy. You know what I mean? I gave him, I purchased the house with him. He double-ended it. And then on the sale, he got another 2.5% by representing me on the listing side. But I guess it just went to show that, like, the reason I want to get into flipping instead of being a realtor full-time, there's advantages to being both. But I wanted to maximize my dollar per transaction. Right?
Okay,
because when interest rates spike, the prices are still staying high.
I know.
So if there's less transactions, naturally you're going to make less money.
Yep.
Unless you find a way to make more money per transaction.
Exactly.
So that's how I started flipping instead of just being a real estate agent the whole time. Because I could do one flip. That could be 10 sales in Modesto.
Yeah, exactly.
Here, it's a little different story. We have $1 million deals. I see a lot of your deals are 1.5, 1.6.
That's like on the low end.
That's what I'm
crazy
saying.
out here.
That's like entry. So, I don't know, man. What got you into investing in out-of-state? Because Darius does out-of-state rentals, right? And I do flipping, and we each haven't gone into each other's world. So we're both. This is honestly for us. You guys are just in our world right now. So.
Yeah, it is. And so, like, for me, like I said, my grandparents had a huge influence on that because my grandma owns three homes in Palo Alto, one in Sunnyvale, and they're all rentals. Besides the one that she owns that she lives in Palo Alto. And I was like, I basically said, I've never met a poor person that owns a bunch of real estate. like honestly, like if you want to put it out there, and I'm a super busy person between my baseball business and being a realtor. I was like, I need a passive form of income, and something that's sustainable for years. So I said, I don't want to buy rentals in California because one, they don't cash flow, and two, I don't have that type of money. And so I was like, I started educating myself with people who invest out of state, and I realized I can buy a home for a fraction of the cost in another state that makes a great return. So in 2021, I kind of took it and I said, I'm going to take the leap. And I bought a house in Texas, in Conroe, Texas, which is on the outskirts of Houston. Bought it. It was $192,000. Just did it straight loan, like 20% down, conventional loan. It had tenants already in place. They just renewed their lease. They were getting market rents. And the investor was like, I'm just, selling my portfolio. I should have bought more from him, but it was my first one.
What was the interest rates when you bought that?
3.125 is what I got it for.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that home ended up, it's making me right now about $612 a month. And it's great. Like I manage it myself because I wanted to learn how to do it. And I did it the most standard way you could possibly do it. Went on Zillow and I filtered my search through what I wanted. I knew what my goals were, which is I wanted properties.
What was it that you were looking for?
I was looking for a 3-bed, 2-bath home. It needed to be built after 1970 because I didn't want to deal with old plumbing and all the kind of issues that can be with that.
That's huge right there, guys.
And I wanted it to be move-in ready. I didn't want to do a lot of fixing up because it's my first one out of state. I don't have a team on the ground. It's just me. I used a realtor that was referred to me from people that I know that live in Houston because I went to college in Houston. And so I just looked and I sent this home to her and I said, hey, look, I like this home. I want to offer this on it. It was listed for 200 and I came in at 190. We settled at 192. And it had tenants in place. They just renewed their lease. I didn't have to do anything. And I said I wanted to manage it because when I hire property managers, I wanted to understand what it takes. So that way I knew, if I hire property managers, I'm like, no, you're not doing this right. Because I've done this before. The hardest part about the property is I would say, if it ever turns over, I had to learn how to turn it over. The first time I ever did that, I did a huge mess up.
When you say turn it over, what do you mean by that?
Like when the tenants move out and new tenants come in.
Gotcha.
The first time I did that, I forgot to pay utilities because I bought the property with utilities in the tenant's name. So then when they moved out, they canceled utilities. I had the cleaner come, photographer come, there was no power.
Oh, shit. So they couldn't plug in their vacuum. So they couldn't do anything.
Yeah, so they were like, hey, there's no power. And I was like,
I've done that a bunch of times.
So, okay, I'm not the only one. Yeah, I felt so dumb.
A bunch of times in the flips, I'm like, oh shit, the utilities, I forget. And I have the roofer or somebody trying to do their work, but they need to plug in to the outlet. So sometimes I have my guy sitting out there and I have to pay an extra utility fee.
Yep.
What would you say is the biggest pro and biggest con of investing out of state? As somebody that's from California, managing a rental in a different state, what are the pros and cons of owning out of state rentals?
Pros,
I'm sure people are interested.
Pros is one, you're not limited by where your backyard is, and the homes are a lot cheaper, so it's almost anyone can buy a home. Right. I mean, I have 2 in Tennessee, and I bought one for $40,000 and one for $60,000.
For 40 and one for 60?
Yeah, and they're both being rented out for just under $1,000 a month.
That's like a down payment.
Yeah, exactly. And so the biggest pros are great returns, insane returns. And then also it's just the landlord-friendly laws, which is huge, where they favor the landlord. So I don't have to worry about, I get to own my property. It's not like in other states where the tenant owns their property more than you. And I get the same tax benefits, the same thing as if I bought out here, just it's on a little smaller scale than out there. However, I would say cons is you need a boots on the ground team. Because if you're not there, things can happen. And if you don't have a strong team or boots on the ground, a small problem can become a big problem. Like you don't know something's leaking and your tenants don't tell you. Sure, you should have something in your lease that protects you from that. But at the end of the day, it's your home, and if you have boots on the ground, they can get there and fix it right away. I've luckily haven't had an issue yet with my Texas one, and my Tennessee ones are professionally managed by someone else.
Oh, awesome. So you still manage the one in Texas?
I still manage the one in Texas.
Self-manage
and I spend maybe an hour a month on it.
Oh,
And so I've learned, I love it. It's taught me so much about it. Another con I would say is people will take advantage of you if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because in other markets, out here, California market's very stable. I mean, interest rates rose, our home prices continue to rise.
Yep.
Out there, home prices fluctuated depending by block.
Right.
Whereas in California, and especially in the Bay Area, because we have strong school districts and we're so tech driven, like if you go to Los Altos, there's not really a bad street in Los Altos.
No.
A bad street in Los Altos is a $3.8 million home.
Yep.
So, but like a bad street in Memphis, Tennessee is high crime.
Really
but then the
bad.
next block over is a great place to have a rental. So you have to really, really know your areas.
Who would you say, so when you say boots on the ground, like what type of team does that look like? And for your Tennessee properties, it sounds like you have more systems in place out there.
Yeah, I have more systems in place.
Who's a part of that? Like, do you got your property manager, you got your handyman, who's a part of your team?
The handyman is like my go-to man. The handyman I think is the most underrated man in real estate.
Okay.
Man or woman it is the
That's
handyman.
pretty bold.
I know, it is. And it's not because I like shortcutting things, it's just because a handyman can do so much and they can also oversee a property. And like I've sent handyman to my Texas property, not to really fix anything, just to walk through and see it and oversee it, instead of having like I have my realtor out there and I'm like, look, I'm a realtor, I don't want to spend your time to just go walk through that house. I can have my handyman do it, who fixes my light bulb or something like that. And then if something small needs to be fixed, that is a handyman job like a light bulb. I say, hey, also you're gonna do a property inspection while you're there.
Yep.
And then I tell the tenants, hey, the handyman's coming, but he's also gonna do an inspection. I give them well in advance notice. The tenants are great. They're like, yeah, awesome, sounds good, Darius. You have to have a contractor, because if there's a big issue that happens, you need someone that can be there ASAP. The best way honestly, the best way I found them is using the app Thumbtack. Thumbtack, it's like it's an app.
Are you sponsored?
No, I'm not sponsored. Thumbtack, you want to sponsor me? Thumbtack, it's just you go on the app.
I've never heard of Thumbtack.
And then neither have I until I played around. And so
Okay.
Thumbtack, you go on there, you can find a professional for anything. And it's great. And so I went on Thumbtack and then I just typed in contractors, interviewed a bunch of them, found the best one, and I've had the same one ever since.
Get out of town.
Yeah.
Thumbtack. I haven't know. I'm in the house flipping game where I should know everything about contractors, and I have never heard of Thumbtack.
Yeah, I love Thumbtack. I use that and TurboTenant are the two I use for managing my rentals.
So your TurboTenant, is that how you collect payment on your? Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's actually been super smooth. And so I was skeptical at first. I like it. It's easy.
Okay.
I could be naive, but it's working for me. So
Okay. So a handyman
contractor, property. If you're gonna get multiple properties out of state, you need a property manager.
Big time.
If you have one, manage it yourself. That's fine. More than one, get a property manager, because there's things that can go wrong, and you don't want to be handling it, and especially because being an investor isn't my full-time job right now.
Yeah.
So you need that, and then a lawyer.
Okay. And a lawyer too?
Oh yeah, you want a lawyer in your back pocket, because you want to know if anything goes wrong, you want to be protected. You need to get to know your state laws and all that stuff, and so you want to have a lawyer in your back pocket to help you with anything that you need. Because at the end of the day, real estate is a legal thing.
Yeah, it is.
Contracts are contracts, and so it's good to have a lawyer look over things.
Interesting. Okay. I was gonna ask you something about has any of your tenants not paid?
No, luckily I've never missed a payment. I've gotten but I vet the tenants very in depth. So
explain to me, what are your qualifications for tenants?
So credit check. Okay. So you got to do a credit score check. Some people say 620 to 640 is what you'd really want. Income, you want 3 times. You don't want the rent to be more than 3 times their income. And that's, I'm a little bit more lenient on that. But it's more of just I look at the job history and make sure that they have a consistent job history. Yeah. Like if they've been at the same job for years and the rent is over 3 times their income, as long as they're not stretching themselves too thin, then it's fine. Because you get to see like what's your car payment, what's all this. So I don't take people if they want to offer to pay lump sum of rent up front, because that's a red flag.
Yeah.
Because that means that they might be hiding something. And for those who aren't hiding something, it's like just pay your rent monthly. It saves you the headache of potentially being in that situation where their landlord's like, why do you need to pay it up front? What's going on behind the scenes that we don't know about?
Big time.
And then I do it, and then you also get referrals of their previous, their rent history of like where they rented. You can call and get their history of like, hey, how were they as tenants?
So 3 times rent.
Yeah.
3 times income as compared to the rent.
Yeah.
Then you got at least a 620 credit score.
Yep.
And then you got referrals are recommended.
Yeah, and then you just check for no red flags, like no previous evictions. Like if you have a previous eviction, I'm sorry, but you're not going in my property.
Okay.
And stuff like that. And then also like one thing that people should look at is because you should interview your tenants, get them on the phone, is see what kind of questions they ask, because there's some tenants that'll nitpick every little thing. Like I had tenants that were like, oh, we didn't like the paint color, we didn't like this, we don't like that, but then they sent in their rental application that they want to rent it, and I'm like, look, if you're not liking the paint color, this and that, like, you're not the tenant for me, because I don't want, because if you're gonna nitpick over this, you're gonna nitpick the entire time.
100%.
I want someone that says like, hey, I love the home, this fits for me, it works for my family, it's in this good school district, and we're happy, because I will always keep the home in good shape. Because you always want to provide your tenants with quality living space. Yeah. That's the point of being a landlord.
What are the laws like out in Texas if somebody doesn't pay?
No pay, no stay.
Like you could get them out the next day, or like how
3 days.
quickly?
You can get 3 to 5 days. You can get them going. Yeah, Texas is great.
3 days?
Yeah, whereas California is you go through a whole process.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Texas is no pay, no stay.
Let's move to Texas.
And so it's great. And so luckily, I know at some point it's going to happen to me. If you're an investor, you're going to run into problems. And I know at some point I'm going to run into the no pay, no stay, and I'm going to have to go through that process. But, cross my fingers right now, I can go through a long period of time without it.
That's amazing.
So,
I love that.
So then how about for you for flipping? I want to hear this. So you got into flipping. What do you look for when you look for flips? Like your first flip, was it cosmetic? Was it a big old project?
It's a great question, to be honest, because my first flip, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Like, just straight up, I don't know. I still don't know shit about construction, in all honesty. But what I do know is what is a good deal.
Yep.
And I know a good deal when I see one. So anyway, my buddy, he had a property listed for $250, and it was next to a railroad. Okay?
Interesting.
So a railroad ran right next to this freaking property, making it like less desirable, right?
Of course, the noise.
So he was getting a lot of offers left and right, and this property had usable stucco. It had a heating and air conditioning unit already on it.
Okay.
Okay, so it was a split unit on the top of the roof. And then all I had to do was, and I didn't have to do windows. So all I was having to do is go in there and do the interior remodel, which was shot. Like it needed brand new drywall, needed new everything.
Oh,
right?
wow.
So I had my contractor come by, and if you're a new flipper, I recommend you taking your contractor on the first one. Yes. And probably the second one, and probably all the way up until you're doing like 5 to 10, and then you know your cost. Right?
Okay, smart.
Take your fucking contractor in there before you close. If you close before the contractor comes out, you're screwing up. I'm telling you, because you're going to get your ass wiped out, and you're going to flip one house, and you're going to be done. That's how I lost $6,000 on my first flip I did. Because that's the first flip I did. This is my first profitable flip.
Okay.
Okay? I don't want to confuse people. Anyway, so this property, I brought my contractor out. He said it needs about $50K. Okay? And I knew I could sell this property for about $330.
Okay.
Okay? So I put it in the formula, and it's all numbers, right?
Yep.
It's not, there's no emotion that goes on in it.
Of course.
It's all numbers. So I did 330 times 0.75 minus 50K. Okay? And I ended up at like 190. And so I make the offer at like 180.
Yep.
And didn't work. He came back, and I was like, listen, the most I could possibly pay on this house is 195, and I'll release all my contingencies. And that's another hack too. If you're trying to get a deal, let the listing agent represent you and release all your contingencies.
Exactly. Yep.
You're gonna get the deal. So I'm like 195, I'll release all my contingencies, and you'll be the listing agent and buyer's agent, so you'll make double commission. So it's in your best interest if you accept my freaking offer. So anyway, he accepts, and then we do the deal. It went exactly as planned on this flip because I looked at the numbers. 50K in repairs after the 195, and then I sold it for 330. That was the flipping empire. That was the first one we did, and then we made 40 grand.
Jeez.
Change the game, right? Modesto, California, you're making 40 grand in an area where there's tweakers and homeless, and you're right next to a railroad, and you're making 40K there.
That's impressive.
Dynamic, that just changes your mental. Like, I can fucking do this here, I can do this there, I do where, put me anywhere on the fucking map and I'll make money.
Yeah.
That's how I started thinking about shit. People are like, oh my God, I live in Modesto. Oh my God, I live in Stockton. Oh my God, I can't make money. Fucking bullshit, dude. It's all bullshit.
Everyone needs a place to live.
Everyone needs a place to live, and you can make money no matter where the hell you are.
Yeah.
You ever see that Discovery Channel with Grant Cardone? They
Oh,
put him in the
gosh.
middle of the Midwest, and they're like, all right, no money. Go out there and try to make something happen. They put him in the Middle West, and he made it happen. He ended up becoming like a millionaire just in that like Midwestern state on Discovery. Discovery. I don't know.
That guy can buy some real estate.
Yeah.
He really can.
So that was the first deal that we did, and then the rest has been history. We did 7 flips last year.
Wow.
And this year we've closed 1, and we have 4 in the process right now.
How do you handle doing multiple flips? And like, do you do them all at the same time? Do you stagger them? Do you have multiple teams?
Dude, honestly, there's something that Aaron Wagg said. There's a guy named Aaron Wagg. He's an entrepreneur, if you've ever heard of him. He said something at a conference that really resonated with me. He said, I just bite as much as I could chew and then more, and I just try to fucking chew it. Like, I just bite as much as I possibly can, and I try to chew it. There is no science to this shit. If I see a good deal, I'm going to buy it. And then I'll figure it the hell out. You know what I mean? So
Because finding the good deal is step number 1, right? So.
Sure. So I don't really stagger them. I don't do a good job at staggering them. But when I see a good deal, I'm just going to go in there and I'm going to buy it. I'm using Kiavi right now for a lot of my loans.
That was my next question.
Yep. So they're charging 1% origination
Okay.
for experienced investor, which is 5 flips in the last 2 months.
Okay.
5 flips in the last 2 years.
Okay.
Okay, so if you've done 5 flips in the last 2 years, you get their pro program, which is 100% financing on the rehab and 90% LTV. I only got put 10% down.
Oh, nice.
So now this is a game changer, right? Because instead of doing 1 flip for $250K and put all my cash in that one,
You can do multiple.
I can do 5 at a time. And I'm only paying 1% origination and 10% interest. I'll pay that all day because I'm gonna burn and turn that shit in 3-4 months.
Yeah, exactly.
So I aim for at least a $50,000 profit is what I aim for in all my flips.
That's smart. Okay, and then do you make sure, why 50,000?
Because I'm okay, really, with 25 or 30. But if I aim for 30, I'm gonna end up breaking even. So I gotta aim for 50. So that way, if the market fluctuates and shit like that,
It gives you a cushion.
right? And then I made 20, and I'm not sad about making $20,000. You know what I
Okay.
mean? It's just I aim for 50.
And then so why hard money compared to private money lenders?
This is a great question, and I'm actually glad you're asking it. So private money lenders are private individuals,
Yeah,
right?
I do it.
And you do it, right? So private money lenders, the only difference that I can really see here is that the terms are flexible, right?
Yeah.
With private money.
Yeah.
You negotiate. If I'm like, Darius, look at this deal right here, $250K, you give me $50K, I'll give you 10% on your money, blah, blah, blah. We can figure out the terms ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
But hard money, it's like institutionalized, right?
Yeah.
So they got their terms, 10% down.
Do you want it or you don't? Here it is.
You don't want it, 11% interest, this is what it is. I actually like to do a blend of both, to tell you the honest truth.
Nice.
Because check this out. So if I get the 90% hard money loan, right? And you got to stick with me here because it's kind of confusing. I'm going to go get the loan from Kiavi. That's going to cover 90% of the purchase.
Yeah.
Okay? So now let's say it's a $100,000 deal. I got $90,000 covered.
Yep.
So if I don't want to come in with any money into a deal, I'll say, Darius, listen, I need $10,000 for the down payment.
So you do a mix.
And I need you to cover the $40,000 in repairs, right?
Yep.
So now you're in it for 50. I got your loan for 50, and then I got 90,000 from Kiavi, and I'm in the deal for nothing.
Exactly, and everyone wins.
Everyone does.
I
You're
think-
happy. Kiavi's happy. I'm happy when I make money, hopefully.
Yeah, no, that's smart. And then I'm sure your thing is, and then how do you pay them back? Because I think that's a lot of question that people will have is, if you're using hard money and private money, how do they get paid?
Well, honestly, every month with Kiavi, they automatically take it out of my account.
Okay.
So hopefully it doesn't kick.
Yeah.
We're doing 3-4 projects. I'm like, shit, let me see. How much? Oh, shit. Okay.
Like, dang.
No, we're good. So they pull it out directly. Kiavi does every month. Is that what your question is?
Yeah, and then at the end of the sale, you'll pay back the private money lender, and then the remaining balance from
Right.
Kiavi. And
Well, they're going to be secured as liens, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to be in first position, Kiavi, for
Yep.
coming out with the 90%, and then if I get another lender to come in, I'll put them in second position.
Okay.
You know, so that they both get paid off through escrow. I don't see it. Whatever
Yeah,
it goes
exactly.
back to, so.
And people don't know that all 3 cameras. Private money lending is a game changer. I do it. I think I'm on my 3rd private money lending deal right now.
You are.
I've shifted to doing that instead of buying rentals for the time being because I haven't had time to analyze a bunch of deals. So private money lending is the most passive form of real estate investing there is. I don't care what anybody says. It is the most passive form.
It is.
I literally, you go up, Darius, I want this deal. I'm like, here, I go to the bank, I wire the money, and I just sit back, relax, and say, all right, I'll see you in 6 to 8 months.
Beautiful. Do you have like a prepayment penalty? How do you decide what terms to give the
And so
investor?
I do, so I talk, it depends on the investor and how much experience they have and how much I trust them.
Right.
So the people that I've done, I trust so much where I've actually been like, hey, what are your terms? I don't really care. I know it sounds so dumb, but it's just, I'm like, hey, look, I know you're good for it. I trust you. Like, what are you looking for to make this deal work? Because if their deal works, I get to work is pretty much the way I look at it. So I don't want to break their bank account. So like some people, they'll come up to me like, hey, I want, they're like, I know you want 12% return on it and 12% annualized return and 8-month deal or so.
Right.
They're like, we can give you 10% just because this deal, it's a little tighter. And I'm like, you know what? That's fine because it beats the bank.
Right.
And so, and that's what I look, and then I make sure that they have proof of funds, and I look for past 3 deal histories, and then I will analyze the deal they're doing. But at the end of the day, even if the home doesn't sell,
You're
good because they have. I hold the property in first position, so it's either my home at the end of it, or you have to pay me back anyways. So, or else, and so it's been amazing.
Right.
I have one that's about to come due in a month. Actually, 2 out of the 3 are going to come due in a month. So I'm super excited about that.
Okay, so let me back up a little bit. Okay?
Yeah.
Let me catch people up. So these people are reaching out to you to fund their deals.
Yeah.
Right? Are these? What price point are you looking to stay in?
I've gone
without disclosing too much.
I've seen properties where they're like, hey, Darius, like I have a home that's $75,000 that needs $20,000 worth of work.
Right.
I've seen people come to me and say, hey, Darius, I have a $150,000 home that needs $20,000 worth of work.
Okay.
I really just like lending on ones with cosmetic fixes because those are a little safer.
Right.
So cosmetic fixes, for those who don't know, is just basically doing, you can just end the call. It's just doing like paint, floors, countertops, stuff like that, like something really simple. But I like lending on those. I am going to start getting into the bigger projects pretty soon because it's just such a passive way to invest, and I invest in people, not just the deal.
Sure.
So, but yeah.
Are they flipping the houses that you're investing in?
Yeah, they're flipping. So all of them, they're all being flipped. One investor I love, and I'm going to keep going back to them, is they flip to only investors. It's super cool. They buy homes, fix them up, put tenants in them, stabilize them, sell them to investors that want rent-ready homes.
Is that turnkey?
And so, no, it's almost like a turnkey thing, but they're not. And they've done this like over 1,000 times.
Wow.
And so I have a couple going on with them, and then I have one going on with another Bay Area investor that's really big in this area. And she invests out of state. And then that one they just put on the market, I think a week or 2 ago. And that one will sell. I'm not worried about that.
Okay. So you're investing to other
investors.
You're basically investing in other investors.
Yep.
And are you doing it only in California? Where are you?
I'm out of state, so I've been North Carolina, St. Louis so far.
Where are you doing your loans?
Is where I've been doing them, and so I'm open to anywhere.
Hit Darius up if you guys need some private money.
Yeah, to me, it's not a location deal. I don't really give a shit where you buy the property, as long as it's gonna work and you have the money in the bank to make sure that like I'm safe in my investment. Like, let's do this.
Let's do it.
It's honestly, that's the retirement plan. Is I just want to continue private money lending.
Yeah. I think the richest people in the world are the lenders.
It is. It really is. I mean?
So you're basically becoming the bank for these individuals.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a great relationship. I love it. Like I said, one day hopefully I'll private money lend for one of your deals.
Let's do it.
Especially if you're looking just for the freaking 10%. I was like, dude, let's do this. Come on now.
Honestly, I will even pay my private money lenders actually more, to be honest, because like, I almost feel like we have a relationship at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't even care. Like you said, you don't care how much the investor is asking for. I don't care what the lender is asking me for, because I'm thinking, dude, we're going to do some great things together, man.
Exactly.
You might say, I might need your money wired the next day. And if you got me like that and we got each other like that, boom, the trust is there. Money wired.
And that's exactly what it is. I think that having the private money lender is one of the like strongest relationships you can have because, like for instance, the one that does the St. Louis properties that I do, he does it. I don't ever need to go and background check him. He comes to me and says, "Hey Darius, I need this," and I have it. I'm like, "Let's do it."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Let's do it. Say no more."
Relationships over money. Relationships over money. I just watched
100%.
my buddy Jake's. I literally just posted on my story. Relationships over money.
100%.
Are you a relationships over money type of guy?
Oh, 100%. Because I said if you build relationships, you're going to make more money than you ever thought you could. If you go, people can always tell when you're going just for money. People can tell immediately, and you're not going to make money.
Yeah.
It's if you go for relationships, you'll make more money than you ever could imagine. And I learned that honestly, like I said, through my baseball business, was that baseball business isn't the moneymaker, but the relationships I build off that have made me more money in real estate than I ever thought I'd make.
Dude, I'm so glad you brought the baseball thing back up because I wanted to go back to the baseball thing, okay? Because Darius, before he got into real estate, he has a baseball academy with how many teams? 11 teams?
Yeah, we have 11 teams right now.
11 freaking teams, dude.
A lot of kids.
And selling real estate, and out-of-state investor, and private money lender. This guy does it all, dude.
And trying not to get divorced and just stay married to my amazing wife and all with it.
Hey, we're both newly
Yes.
wed, right?
It's honestly the secret is have a partner that supports you in everything, right? You have your amazing wife. I have an amazing wife. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's but yeah, what were you gonna say?
I wanted to say, so your baseball thing, how did that get started? How'd you get your start in the baseball academy world? Like, obviously you played as...
Yeah, I played baseball, played in college, and then when I came back, I actually did it. This program started as kind of like a side gig for fun. It was never supposed to be this organization. It was a guy that coached me in baseball was like, hey, I went up to him, was like, hey, can I coach one of your club teams? And I want to just make some side cash while I was actually studying to become a physical therapist. That was actually plan A.
Holy
And then, yeah, right, and became a realtor. Whoop,
Yeah. Sounds like everyone's story.
Right? Plan B, became a realtor. And so I went up to him and I was like, hey, I want to coach one of your teams. And long story short, he was like, start a youth division of coaching athletes. And he's like, 1, you'll make decent money. 2, you'll impact more lives. And 3, he's like, your skill set will be a lot better for that. And I was like, okay. So I literally, just like I jumped into real estate with like, no, I at least had more background playing baseball than when I'm a realtor. And then so I just kind of went in, put tryouts up. It started with one team, did well by one team. The kids got better. They forwarded their friends. And it just kept growing. And then I eventually was like, oh, I'm done with this. I'm going to stop it. And then one year, I got invited to coach a team that represented the Bay Area out in Arizona and in a big national tournament. And we did really well. And then I came back and then 150 kids signed up to try out. And I was like, I guess this is a thing.
Let's go. That's amazing.
And so it became something.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of kept it going and I try to get creative with it every year. And now we're traveling like all over the country. We have like some of the top kids in the area. We've been recognized by Major League Baseball and college baseball as a very prominent program in our area. We have 169 kids in our organization right now.
Dude, that's a lot of kids.
It's a lot of kids. And it only works because I have an amazing team of coaches. I learned how to delegate. My wife taught me that I needed to delegate. Like shout out to you, Ruth, amazing wife.
Let's go, Ruth.
Yes. And I delegate. So I have an outstanding team of coaches. And it also helps that I have amazing families in the organization. And so it's a ship that's still running and it's been fun.
I want to ask, how did you begin to delegate, right? Like you take yourself now from coach to now owner, right?
Yes.
Of the academy, right? Are you still coaching a team?
Yeah.
Okay, you're still
I still coach a team. I can't give it. I love coaching.
Well,
that's a passion of mine.
So how do you choose? Like, is this like the first team you started and now you just stuck with them because they're like your baby? Or like, how does that work?
I take like one of our better teams that I work with every year, but I go through a process of just like you analyze tenants.
Yep.
I analyze my coaches to see who's going to come in and in relationship building. And like these coaches forward me more coaches. And I figure out what they're good at. And then I delegate them to do the job of like what best fits them. So they have the best chance to succeed. The kids have the best chance to succeed. And it's been a really good relationship. Like I said, I'm so grateful for you coaches. Like you guys, like they are the most important pieces of this puzzle. Like it doesn't work without them because I can't coach 169 people by myself.
Yeah.
So I just learned how to find what they could do, and they're just great people, and like they sacrifice a lot of time to do this.
So your first team, right? I want to go back to this. The first team you ever had, to go from 1 to 2, I feel like is hard. But do you think that it happened because you had the success then you had the tryouts, and it forced you to grow.
It forced me to grow.
Okay.
It honestly did, because I didn't have a growth mindset with what's called CCB. I was more of just like, this is just side gig, have fun, whatever. And then I was like, crap, like this is kind of a business now. How the heck do I do this? And so it was 100% like the kids forced me to grow, and you want to do right by them.
Yeah.
So like they force you to grow as a person, and like, how do I become a better coach? Because they're trusting me with such a big part of their lives. Like I was fortunate to have amazing coaches when I played. So like for me to be able to try to give that back to them is huge. Like I want kids to go through my organization and to come back and be like, this made an impact on my life and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So
what do you think like the biggest struggle of having this team is? Like, have you ever, I mean, in every sort of business, people have that like turn back moment where they're like, I don't know if I can keep going on this. Did this ever happen?
Oh yeah.
How'd you overcome it, dude?
I've thought about giving it up like almost every year in the last like 5 years, to be honest. I mean, every year I've thought about like, this might be it for me.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of tired of it. But then I love baseball and I love coaching, but it's more of it is just honestly, the team of coaches and the families I have keep coming back to like make me want to keep coming back and keep it going. But it's the hardest thing is maintaining.
Yeah.
It's like maintaining the quality, because it's so easy after some point just to kick back and say like we're good enough and fine. It's 100% like maintaining quality. I mean, it's probably the same thing when you're flipping homes and doing stuff. It's like trying to maintain the quality of each flip. I'm sure it gets exhausting. Like, I mean, you did 7 deals last year, you said?
Yeah, 7 flips.
Like I was gonna say the same thing for you. Like, how did you continue to keep going? Because flipping homes is not easy.
It's not. And how I got my start too is like, this plays a role, is the first few deals I did when I didn't have money, like I would do 1 flip by myself and then 2 flips with a partner, an equity partner, right? So an equity partner, guys, is basically I do 1 deal by myself with my own funds, right?
Yep.
And then I would get more opportunities. So I was forced to grow, right? And I'm like, well, fuck, this is such a good deal. I don't want to wholesale it. I can't flip it myself. So I got an equity partner, someone who has money sitting in the bank. They want to deploy it almost like a private money lender.
Nice.
But we split the deal 50-50. Now I'm into the deal with nothing. I have no experience. I'm into the deal with nothing, and we're just splitting the deal 50-50 for me bringing the deal to the table.
Bingo.
So that's how I started doing my deals, and then obviously I would handle the construction management. But it's honestly the key is like get a contractor too that you trust. You know what I mean? And that's so hard because every contractor gets complacent.
Yep.
You know, at a certain point, it's like the mortgage lender. Like there's always, like lenders always get complacent. Like you send them deals. First time they'll call, get them on a Zoom call. The second call, they'll just call them. Like progressively the quality goes down. So you kind of have to keep them guessing. Send 1 deal to 1 contractor, send another deal to somebody else. That's my biggest piece of advice. Split it up a little bit.
Keep them on their toes.
Yeah, keep them on their toes.
Wanting to earn your business.
Exactly, so that they also don't just assume that you're going to go with them and then mark up the price too.
Yeah.
Because, I already know he's going to go with me. No, I'm bringing else. Someone else is coming right after you.
Okay. And when you're flipping homes, do you think that this is something that almost anyone can do? If they study and they get to know markets, and do you think that flipping is something that people should get into, or should they go a different route of real estate first and then get into flipping?
Everyone can, but not everybody should. Everyone can, but not everyone should. Dude, honestly, there's so many sleepless nights of just being a flipper, dude. Like where I'm like, fuck, this deal's so good. I'm stuck because I have 3-4 deals going at a time. Like I had my HVAC stolen while I was in Hawaii.
Oh no, so you can't even enjoy your vacation.
I'll tell you what, I had a mental breakdown on some real shit. I did. And I'm like, I went back to the room. My wife and the fam were at dinner, and I'm like, dude, I gotta go. Honestly, I had such a mental breakdown, Darius. I cannot even fathom, because my freaking AC got stolen. I was so pissed. It was like $3,000, but the principle of the matter is, and obviously the cost too, but I was just so upset, man.
Is that the first time something like that's ever happened to you?
Yeah, dude, and it's like $3,000 that I did not need to spend on a new AC unit. So there's so many moments like that, and that rob my joy, and they shouldn't. But right, like when it comes down to it, is flipping kind of runs my life. So unless you're gonna be absolutely fucking obsessed with flipping houses, do not even fucking touch it. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times they're like, oh, quick money, wholesale. Let's wholesale. Let's make some money. How can I make money as fast as possible? Flipping is not that. It's so much of a game of humbling.
It is.
Like, you think Floyd Mayweather is going to say that boxing is easy? No, he's been punched in the face so many times. So it's a very humbling business. And I hope that answered your question. So when I go back to, can everybody? Yes. Should everybody? Absolutely not.
Yeah. And then do you think, like, one of our last 2 points is, do you think when people say there is no such thing as, like, get rich quick in real estate?
Well, I think there is if you can find the right deal, but also you need to be long-sighted in real estate.
Yeah.
Like, I know that I'm probably not going to make money. You have to go into it thinking like this, and if you get lucky, you get lucky. If you get the $8 million listing for your first listing, you're Darius, and I can't compete with you. You're just that good, right? But for most real estate agents that do not have a big network, that are building a network themselves, it's going to take you 6 months to a year to close your first deal.
Agreed.
Right? So if you can't wait 6 months to a year to start seeing some fruition, you probably should not do real estate.
Yeah.
Because even when I wanted to start flipping, I was like 3 or 4 months into my search of finding the flip, right? And then 3 months to actually flip it. Now I'm 7 months into this thing and I haven't gotten paid.
Yeah.
I was $50,000 in debt.
Oh, wow.
In credit card debt, personal credit card debt when I did my first flip. I had $10,000 left to my name doing that first flip.
You needed that flip to work.
I needed that shit to close. I had a $2,500 mortgage payment for my house, $2,500 mortgage payment for this flip. I literally almost lost my ass. So, yeah, I do, and it takes a lot of risk. This game is, you gotta have really, you can't have like a weak stomach.
Yeah.
I've gone through so much shit where I'm I'm good. I got a strong chin now. I'm just taking it to the chest.
He's like, you see this jawline?
Yeah, it's like,
I think that's one common misconception is like people think that real estate, everyone that gets in real estate and does well is rich. I'm like, a lot of people don't understand is most of the time you're reinvesting your money back into real estate. So it's like, I mean, like when I started making good money in real estate, I also learned that I wasn't keeping a lot of it because I was always reinvesting it. Like now that I'm private money lending, I was like, I'm never saving money. I'm basically just like, all right, next deal, buy that house, next deal, reinvest in business. So like, do you agree? Like, so with you, do you think with flipping properties, it's the same thing? It's like you become property rich, cash poor.
all the time.
Yep.
All the fucking time. Because there's so many good deals. Like, because I'm spending money on advertising. Direct mail is how I spend a lot of my money. Is direct mail. And then, but yeah, like when that deal comes, I don't want to say no. And the only other option is for me to use all my money and my debt that I have, you know, like my credit cards, my business credit cards, my business equity lines. Like, dude, I'll pull out of everything if I believe in the deal, if the numbers work.
Yeah.
Right? So, shit. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. No, you did.
Okay.
And then lastly, finding deals. Because this is a question actually someone asked me about before, and I told you I would bring it up.
Okay.
So you said you're finding your deals through direct mail.
Yep.
And so do you mind asking how much is that costing you? And then also, is there any other way that you're sourcing out deals?
So three primary ways at this point. 3 pillars that I have for my business right now are number 1, direct mail. Number 2, social media and telling people what I do. And
he flips properties, guys, in case you didn't get that.
We flip property in Modesto, California. And then 3 is having a strong Google presence.
Interesting.
So number 1 is the direct mail, right? I spend $6,000 on that a month, right? To send out to a lot of different properties. I like to go high equity.
Okay.
And I'll just send a shitload of mail out. I do it all through Deal Machine. That's who sends my mail.
Okay.
So I don't touch a piece of mail. I'm not like, oh my God, stamp. Like, I don't do that shit. Deal Machine does that. They send it directly from Deal Machine headquarters to the prospect. Nice. I don't ever see the mail, okay? So spend $6,000 on that, and I send it to high equity individuals, people with like a lot of money in the house.
Yep.
A lot of times tired landlords. And
that's a huge market.
And I pull all the lists from propwire.com, which is another hack because it's free data. Okay, so it's all free from Jerry Norton. Shout out Jerry Norton. But so that's how I'll pull a list and then I'll just start sending them mail. And then they call in and I give them a cash offer and go out there and make the deal happen.
There you go.
So that's number 1 is really direct mail. and I hone in on that. But at the beginning of doing direct mail, it takes 2 or 3 months for you to get a deal. Okay, because you have to send them multiple cards of postcards or mail. You can't just send them one and forget about it, right?
You have to keep it going and follow up and.
Right. So I sent them 6 mail. I send each prospect 6 mail pieces before I ever stop. Sometimes it goes to 10 or 11, and they have to call me and tell me to go myself, right? So that's number one. Those are some tips for me, though. Like, I don't ever stop sending direct mail unless they tell me to stop.
Okay.
Unless I run out of money in marketing. Then I'm like, oh, shit, I got to stop. You know what I mean? But
Time to start door knocking.
Yeah, it's time to start door knocking or goals. I'm like, shit, I'm desperate. No, second way is social media. That's pretty obvious. If you have a business, you should be telling people what the hell you do.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen some good results from telling people what you do.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't keep it a secret.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I'm a NASCAR driver.
So yeah, I just don't keep yourself a secret, and you are the way you look. So like, most people are insecure to go on camera. Just fucking go on the camera. It's how you look, dude. I can't. If you're ugly, you're ugly. Just get in the front of the camera. Honestly, if you're ugly, you're ugly. Go in front of the camera and tell people what you do. At least make some money off your ugly ass. You know what I mean? That's just how I feel, bro.
That is the best line.
That's gonna be a reel for sure.
If you're ugly, you can't help it. Just sell some fucking real estate.
Just go be a realtor like everybody else when they're on their plan B.
Look at us.
Look at us. So we're just a mixture of like plan Bs and plan Cs and
So many jokes could have made there.
Oh my God. Oh fuck. Okay. Next topic. So my third way is my Google presence.
Yeah.
That's my Google My Business page that I love. It's free, and I got people. I was like, babe, post on Instagram. I'll give everyone a Starbucks coffee if you go give me a 5-star review on Google. True shit, I did.
Yeah.
I sent out like $200 worth of Starbucks to people for Google reviews, okay? But the funny thing is, 2 months later, I got my Newman flip that I have right now.
Really?
That's how I got that lead. It was from Google.
That's $200 is well worth it.
So that's how I got that deal. We're making $75,000 on that one.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we bought that one for $225,000, $30,000 for the rehab, $25,000 for holding costs because I've had it since November. I had to get a tenant out. It's been a long time coming. Finally got into contract actually yesterday. So that's
Congrats.
gonna make. Thank you. Fuck. It's one of those deals where you're like, just please go away. So yeah, that one came from the Google the Google reviews. So if you type in Google My Business on Google, it'll come up with a way that you can create your Google business page and then get reviews and stuff like that. And the hack is you put a keyword, like a trigger word for people. Like if you're gonna sell your home fast, what are you gonna type in on Google?
Sell my home quick.
Sell my home fast. So I have in my business pages, JD home offer, sell my home fast, Modesto, right? So now whenever the IP comes up under Modesto and they type in sell my home fast, I'm on the organic page.
Oh wow. Okay, that's smart.
Now this is huge because I had a realtor that was a Spanish speaking realtor. He was like, so how do I do this Google business page? I'm like, put Francisco Rubalcava, best-selling Spanish realtor.
Bingo.
Someone called him off that fucking Google page that's free and said, I want to sell my house and I want to buy because you're the best-selling Spanish-speaking realtor. For free.
I'm gonna start doing that.
So yeah, those are the 3 ways though.
Nice. And then we'll end it as I want to hear your biggest flip. Your biggest flip.
The biggest flip that we're working on
Yes.
is, well, right now, I'm going to tell you the one that's closed, and then I'm going to tell you my potential one. The biggest flip I've ever done was, to date, was $123,000 profit.
120?
$120,000 profit.
Look at you.
In Airport District in Modesto. Shittiest neighborhood. That's a different story for a different time because it'll take me too long. But that house, I ended up getting it for $180,000. Someone came in there, shot it up while I was in escrow. I got a price reduction from $180,000 to $110,000. Put $100,000 in it in repairs. Sold that thing for $350,000.
Oh, so you're telling me the secret is just have someone shoot up your home?
Yeah, exactly. So then I got people on YouTube that were like, you hired someone to go shoot up that house.
Jesus.
I'm like, you motherfuckers.
Oh
and
my
then,
God.
I got another one that's a big project that I'm working on. We're entering that one for $225,000. It's a 3,300 square foot house.
That's a big home.
On a third of an acre.
Oh, wow.
With a pool. That one I bought for $225,000. Got a sweet deal on it. Gonna put $200,000 in and hopefully sell for $7,000. Yep.
Jesus.
But yeah, that's.
And what's the time frame of that one?
Well, we're in construction right now, so I'm about 6 weeks out from hitting the market.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You're going to hit the market at a pretty good time then, too.
Hopefully.
But dude, I'm so glad we could do this. One, Jacob, thank you for doing this and meeting. It's so good to see you again.
Thank you, bro.
Dude, 4 years going that we should have done this. So this was super fun. Let us know if you want us to do something like this again.
Heck yeah, the Darius and Jacob show. Let's go, baby.
That's a good one.
Thank you, bro. You inspire me, and you're doing some big things, crushing the freaking game, and pretty much everything you do, you're an inspiration, bro.
So are you, man. So let's get this going.
Let's get it, baby. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Smash that like button, comment if you're on YouTube. We love you guys. Peace.